Welcome back to Coins Tool. Today, we have something very special for you. Could a simple penny in your change be worth thousands of dollars? Well, it turns out, the 1985 D Lincoln cent is not your average penny. In fact, it's creating a huge buzz in the collector's market right now, with one selling for an eye-popping $55,100. Yep, you heard that right. A single cent. For $55,000. Stick around to find out what makes this coin so valuable and how you might just have one sitting at home. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with a little background. The 1985 D Lincoln cent was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D Mint mark just below the date. This coin, like other Lincoln cents, features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial. Sounds pretty standard, right? But what makes this 1985 D penny worth so much more than a single cent? It's all in the details. The majority of the 1985 D Lincoln cents are, of course, only worth their face value or perhaps a bit more for collectors. But there's one specific version of this coin that has collectors on the edge of their seats. And that's because of a few unusual characteristics that make it incredibly rare. One major factor contributing to the value of these coins is mint errors. Let's take a closer look at what you need to check for if you think you might have a valuable 1985 D penny in your collection. First off, some of the high-value 1985 D Lincoln cents have doubling, also known as a double die error. This means that certain features of the coin, such as the date, mint mark, or lettering, appear to have been stamped twice. You might notice some letters in Liberty or In God We Trust look thicker or have a shadow. This is the type of doubling that gets collectors excited. Additionally, some of these coins have issues with improper planchet preparation, resulting in a copper or zinc layer anomaly, which means the surfaces can look different in color or even be partially missing. This type of error coin can sometimes bring in serious cash from avid collectors. Now, let's talk about why a coin that most of us would ignore could be worth $55,100. In a recent auction, a pristine 1985 D Lincoln cent sold for that jaw-dropping price due to its perfect condition and unique mint error. So, how did it reach such a high value? There are a few factors at play here. First, this particular coin had an MS-68 grade from the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS. For those who don't know, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS-70 being the ultimate perfection, virtually unattainable. An MS-68 grade indicates an incredibly high-quality coin, almost flawless in the eyes of professional graders. Coins with such a high grade are exceedingly rare, especially from the 1980s when minting technology wasn't as refined as it is today. Combine that rarity with the fascination for mint errors, and you have a recipe for a very valuable coin. So, now the big question, how can you tell if the 1985 D penny sitting in your jar is worth big money? First, grab a magnifying glass or, even better, a jeweler's loupe. Carefully examine the date, the mint mark, and the inscriptions on the coin. You're looking for any signs of doubling or anomalies that might indicate a mint error. Next, check the coin's overall condition. If it looks almost brand new, with minimal scratches or wear, you might have something worth getting professionally graded. Remember, coins that have been circulated and show a lot of wear generally won't reach those high auction prices, but they could still be valuable if they have significant errors. Now, let's talk about current market values. While a top-quality 1985 D Lincoln cent recently fetched $55,100 at auction, not every 1985 D penny will be worth that much. Most error coins in good condition could range anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand, depending on the specific features and the market demand. If you think you have a coin worth investigating, consider getting it appraised by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. It might cost you a little upfront, but it could be well worth it if you end up with a 5-figure payday. And here's a tip for all you budding coin collectors: keep your eyes peeled. Check your pocket change, coin jars, and those old collections you might have inherited. You never know what hidden treasures could be waiting there. So, is the 1985 D Lincoln cent sitting in your pocket worth $55,100? Maybe not, but it's worth checking out. The next time you come across a penny, take a moment to inspect it. You might just find a small fortune staring back at you. We're talking about the 1996 D Lincoln cent, with the famous D mint mark, and let me tell you, it's not just any old penny you'll find in your change jar. Believe it or not, some of these coins are worth up to $45,100. Exploding head now, you're probably wondering why on earth a simple 1996 D penny could be worth so much money. Well, stick around, and I'll explain everything you need to know: how to identify one, why it's valuable, and how you might even have one of these golden tickets right in your own pocket change. First, let's get into the basics. The 1996 D Lincoln cent, as the name suggests, was minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark. Over 6 billion of these pennies were minted that year, so they're generally pretty common. You might be asking, what makes this particular penny stand out from the crowd? Why would anyone pay a crazy price like $45,100 for a simple penny? Well, it's all about the unique characteristics and errors that make these coins rare. But first, let's discuss a bit of the history behind the coin. The Lincoln cent, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Penny, has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1959. In 1996, the penny still featured the classic design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, while the reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial. In 1996, the Denver Mint was responsible for producing millions of these coins, and it was during this minting process that some interesting variations occurred. These variations are the key to why some of these pennies can be worth a fortune today. Now, let's get into what makes the 1996 D penny so special. The most valuable versions of this coin have significant errors or unique qualities that make collectors go wild. Here are the top features to look out for. One of the main reasons a 1996 D penny can be worth big bucks is due to minting errors. These could include things like double dies, off-center strikes, or even coins with missing elements. A double die, for example, occurs when the coin is struck twice by the die, and you can see doubling on features like the date or the lettering. These errors are often subtle but can increase a coin's value astronomically. Imagine finding one of these in your piggy bank. A double die error on a 1996 D Lincoln cent could easily take its value from just a penny to thousands of dollars, especially if it's in excellent condition. Now, it's not just about finding the error, it's also about the condition of the coin. If you want to get the maximum value, the coin needs to be in what we call mint state condition. Professional grading services, like PCGS or NGC, can grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70. If you have a 1996 D Lincoln cent with a high mint state grade, like MS68 or even MS69, you could be sitting on a coin worth up to $45,100. That's right, condition can mean the difference between a penny that's worth, well, a penny, and one that's worth thousands of dollars. Oh, give you some context, the record sale of a 1996 D penny at auction reached a whopping $45,100. That coin was graded MS69 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, which means it was nearly flawless, with a crisp, shiny finish, and no visible wear. Coins in this condition are extremely rare, which makes them highly sought after by collectors. So, how do you know if you have one of these valuable pennies? Well, let me walk you through some key things to look out for. First of all, look for the D mint mark under the date. This means it was minted in Denver, and that's essential. Use a magnifying glass and check if there's any doubling on the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile. It might be subtle, but a trained eye can spot these double strikes. If you find one, you could be onto something valuable. Another valuable error to look out for is if the coin was struck off-center. This kind of error can also significantly increase the value. If part of the design is missing or shifted, that's a good sign you've got a valuable coin on your hands. Remember, the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin. And the better the condition, the higher the potential price. If you find something interesting, consider having it professionally graded. It could make all the difference if you're trying to sell it at an auction. In recent years, several of these rare 1996 D Lincoln cents have been auctioned for thousands of dollars. The record-breaking $45,100 sale happened because of a combination of rarity, error, and pristine condition. The coin had been preserved in mint state, and a competitive bidding war helped drive up the price. Alright, so now you know what to look for in a 1996 D Lincoln cent. If you've got some old coins lying around, it's time to do some treasure hunting. Go through your jars, your couch cushions, or even ask family and friends if they have old pennies lying around. Who knows, you might just stumble upon a $45,000 coin. If you think you found one, make sure to handle it carefully. Try not to touch the surface with your bare hands, as oils from your skin can cause damage. Put it in a protective coin holder, and consider having it graded if it looks promising. And before we wrap up, I want to mention that coin collecting is all about patience and persistence. The chances of finding a $45,000 penny might be slim, but it's the thrill of the hunt that makes it so rewarding. Plus, even if you don't strike it rich, you're learning about history, culture, and the art of minting along the way. We're diving deep into an amazing coin that has been making waves in the collector community, the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent coin with a mint mark. Believe it or not, this little penny is worth some big money, and we'll be talking about a recent sale that hit an eye-popping $65, 100. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's find out why this coin is so special and how you might be able to spot one of these treasures in your very own coin jar. First off, let's get into some of the background history of the 1982 Lincoln cent. 1982 was a particularly interesting year for the U.S. Mint, and that's because they made a major change to the Lincoln cent that year. Up until 1982, pennies were mostly made of 95% copper, but starting in the middle of the year, the mint switched over to a composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating. Why the change? Well, the price of copper was on the rise, and it actually became too expensive to produce pennies with the traditional copper composition. So, 1982 was the year of transition, which meant that the mint produced both copper and zinc pennies that year. But here's where it gets really interesting for collectors. There were actually 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny, and that includes different mint marks and compositions, such as small date and large date variations. That mix of changes has led to some seriously valuable coins circulating out there today. Now, you're probably wondering why some of these coins are worth so much more than others. The real key here lies in the composition and the date size. What collectors have been going crazy over are certain varieties that were minted in copper instead of zinc, and in particular, the 1982 D large date copper penny, which is super rare. Let's talk about the 1982 D large date copper penny. This is the coin that recently sold $4.65, 100 at auction, and here's why it's so valuable. For starters, the D mint mark means it was produced at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint wasn't supposed to make copper pennies that year, most of their production was supposed to be in zinc. But somehow, a small batch of copper coins got through, and that's what makes this coin incredibly rare. In fact, there are only a handful of these known to exist, and whenever they pop up, collectors are willing to pay big bucks to get their hands on them. The one that sold for $65,100 was in near-perfect condition, which definitely contributed to its massive price tag. This coin is considered a transitional error, which means it was struck during the time when the mint was transitioning from copper to zinc, and the mix-up resulted in an extremely rare coin. That's why collectors are always on the lookout for these transitional errors. They're rare, and they tell an interesting story about the U.S. Mint's history. So, how do you know if you've got a valuable 1982 penny in your pocket? The best way to find out if your 1982 penny is copper or zinc is to weigh it. Copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies are lighter, weighing 2.5 grams. If you have a digital scale at home, just place your penny on it, and see what the scale says. If it reads around 3.11 grams and it has the D mint mark with a large date, you could be holding a small fortune. Another important detail is the date size. The large date and small date differences can be a little tricky to spot if you're not familiar with them, but once you know what to look for, it becomes easier. The large date is more pronounced, whereas the small date has a slightly thinner and more delicate appearance. Now, let's talk about the current market value. Of course, not every 1982 penny is going to be worth $65,000, but even the more common varieties can be worth a few dollars if they're in good condition, and especially if they're uncirculated. However, if you happen to find a 1982 large date copper penny, you're looking at a potential windfall. These coins have been fetching tens of thousands of dollars at auction, and the market demand continues to grow. If you think you've got a rare 1982 penny, the best place to sell it is at a reputable coin auction, either online or in person. Some popular auction sites like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers are good places to start, as they specialize in rare coins and have a wide reach of interested collectors. You could also get your coin graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. Grading will give your coin an official certification, which can significantly boost its value when it comes time to sell. Before we wrap up, here are a few final tips for anyone who wants to search for valuable 1982 pennies. Always keep an eye on your loose change. You'd be surprised how many valuable coins are still out there just waiting to be discovered. A digital scale is a must-have for any serious coin hunter, especially if you're searching for transitional errors like the 1982. Familiarize yourself with the differences between small date and large date varieties. This little detail could be the difference between a regular penny and a $65,000 jackpot, so there you have it, folks. The 1982 Lincoln cent is a fascinating piece of numismatic history, and with a recent sale of $65, 100, it's definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Who knows, maybe you have one of these rare pennies sitting in a jar at home right now. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, and let us know what you'd like us to cover next. We're talking about one of the most famous penny coins out there, the 1969 Lincoln cent with a D mint mark. This little copper coin could just be the hidden treasure sitting right in your coin jar, and guess what, it's worth a whopping $75, 100. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and let's dig into why this tiny penny is worth big bucks. The Lincoln cent, often called simply the penny, has been a part of American history for over a century. It was first minted back in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. But today, we're zooming into one specific year, 1969, and more importantly, one specific mint mark that's been driving collectors wild, the D mint mark. Now, let's clarify this. The D mint mark represents the Denver Mint, one of the key places where U.S. coins are produced. Most coins from this year are worth a few cents or maybe $1 or $2 if they're in pristine condition. However, a select few of these 1969 Lincoln cents are worth tens of thousands, and sometimes even more. So, what makes these 1969 pennies so valuable? Let's break it down. The D mint mark on this coin indicates it was minted in Denver. The specific placement and appearance of the mint mark is a key factor here. You want to look for a mint mark that appears sharp, well-centered, and evenly struck. Any deviation can add value. This is a big one. A number of 1969 pennies feature a double die obverse, where the details on the front of the coin are doubled. If you look closely at Lincoln's profile, the date, or the words Liberty and In God We Trust, you might see a doubling effect. This error, known as a DDO, is extremely rare and adds incredible value to the coin. The condition of the coin plays a huge role. The grading system ranges from poor, P1, to mint state, MS, 70, and collectors are willing to pay big bucks for coins in high grades. A well-preserved 1969 D Lincoln cent, especially with the DDO error, can easily reach $75, 100 or even more. Alright, let's get a bit more technical here. The double die obverse is where the real money lies. To identify if you have one of these incredibly rare pennies, you need a magnifying glass or, even better, a jeweler's loupe. When you're inspecting the coin, the doubling should be very obvious, especially around the letters and the numbers on the front. Many of the fakes out there show faint doubling, but the genuine error has a distinct, sharp doubling effect. If you have a 1969 Lincoln cent with the D mint mark, make sure you examine the date, especially the 1, 9, and 6. Notice how the numbers might appear twice, slightly offset. The same goes for the word liberty. These details are what separate a penny worth $1 from a penny worth over $75,000. Now, let's talk about current market value. As of today, a 1969 D Lincoln cent with a certified double die can sell anywhere from $25,000 up to $75,100 depending on its condition. In 2023, one of these coins, graded MS-64 by PCGS, that's one of the leading grading services, fetched an astonishing $75,100 at auction. This shows how crazy the market can get for these rare coins. So why are collectors willing to pay such incredible amounts for this penny? The answer is pretty simple: rarity and demand. The 1969 double die obverse Lincoln cent is one of the most recognized and desired mint errors among collectors. Its scarcity makes it a crown jewel for anyone trying to complete their collection of Lincoln cents. It's not just about the monetary value, it's about holding a piece of history that's almost impossible to find. Now, before you go rushing to your coin jars and piggy banks, let me share a few tips on how you can maximize your chances of finding one of these valuable pennies. First off, always check the coins you receive as change. This might sound like a long shot, but people have indeed found rare coins in everyday pocket change. And the best part? You're essentially getting that $75,000 for just 1 cent. Talk about a profit. You'll want to be able to see fine details. If you think you have a valuable 1969 D penny, you need to have it graded by experts like PCGS or NGC to determine its true value. Coin collectors are incredibly passionate and always willing to help each other out. You'll learn a ton from online communities like Reddit's coin collecting forums or Facebook groups. Point 4. Keep it safe. If you do have a rare penny, keep it in a protective coin sleeve. Remember, condition affects value. And let's not forget, you could still have a valuable penny even if it doesn't have the doubling effect. Some Lincoln cents from 1969, especially those that are in nearly flawless condition, can still bring in several $100s just based on their rarity and quality. So, folks, if you've got a 1969 penny with a D mint mark sitting around, it's definitely worth checking it out. Who knows? You could be holding on to a little piece of copper that's worth a small fortune. The thrill of coin collecting is that every time you look through your change, there's the possibility of finding a treasure. And this 1969 Lincoln cent is exactly that, a tiny piece of history with an enormous price tag. We're talking about a truly remarkable coin, the 1967 Lincoln cent. Some of these pennies are worth a fortune, yes, we're talking up to $82,100. You heard that right, 1 cent turning into a jackpot. Let's dive right in and explore why this coin is so special, what makes it valuable, and how you could potentially find one in your collection. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of its value, let's take a closer look at the 1967 Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American currency for over a century, starting from 1909 when it replaced the Indian head cent. The 1967 version is one of those intriguing coins with a lot of history and potential value. So, why 1967? What makes this year different? Let's set the scene. The mid-1960s were an interesting time for the US Mint. There was actually a coin shortage happening in the early 60s, so in an effort to combat coin hoarding, the US Mint made a big decision in 1965. They suspended the use of mint marks on all coins until 1968. That's right, coins minted from 1965 to 1967 did not carry any mint marks, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This was meant to discourage people from collecting coins just based on where they were minted. So, when you look at a 1967 Lincoln cent, you'll notice there's no D or S mint mark. Okay, so let's talk value. Why would a coin from 1967 be worth as much as $82,100? Well, like with many rare coins, there are a few key factors: rarity, condition, errors, and demand. First up, let's talk about condition. Coin collectors, or numismatists, place a high value on coins that are in exceptional condition. The grading scale goes from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS 70. If you find a 1967 Lincoln cent in near perfect condition, let's say MS 67 or higher, then you could be looking at a substantial payday. One such coin, graded MS 67 Plus by a reputable grading service like PCGS, recently sold for an astonishing $82,100 at auction. Grading plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. Even minor imperfections can drastically affect the price, so if you think you've got a special coin, it's worth getting it professionally graded. But that's not all. Errors and varieties are where things get really exciting. In 1967, quality control at the mint wasn't quite as tight as it is today, and that means there are error coins out there just waiting to be found. Some of the errors you might find on a 1967 Lincoln cent include off-center strikes, double dies, and repunched mint marks, though technically, mint marks weren't being used that year, which adds an extra layer of mystery. The double die variety, where parts of the design appear doubled, is particularly valuable to collectors. A double die obverse or reverse can increase the value of a 1967 penny from just a few cents to hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity of the doubling and the coin's overall condition. So, what should you be looking for if you think you've got a 1967 penny that might be worth big money? Let's break it down. First, check the condition. Look for a coin with minimal scratches, no discoloration, and a strong, shiny surface. Coins that are graded MS 65 or higher are where the real value lies. Next, keep an eye out for errors. Look at the date closely. If you notice any doubling, particularly on the numbers or Lincoln's profile, that's a good sign you might have something special. Finally, overall eye appeal is important. Coins with great luster and strong visual impact tend to fetch higher prices. Even if there are no major errors, a flawless-looking 1967 penny can still be worth a lot. Alright, let's say you found a 1967 Lincoln cent that looks promising. What's the next step? Well, I recommend getting it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS and NGC are well respected in the industry and can give your coin an official grade, which is crucial if you're planning to sell it at auction or to a dealer. Once graded, you could list your coin on auction sites like Heritage Auctions or even eBay. Just remember, the more information you provide and the better the pictures, the more likely you are to attract serious buyers. Current market value, host ****. So, what's the current market value of a 1967 Lincoln cent? Well, for most 1967 pennies in circulated condition, they're only worth face value, just 1 cent. But if you have a higher grade coin, especially something around MS 67 or higher, you could be looking at anywhere from $100 to thousands of dollars. And of course, that one special MS 67 Plus coin sold for an incredible $82,100. This record-breaking price reflects not only the coin's condition but also the demand from collectors who are willing to pay a premium for top-quality examples. There you have it, folks. The 1967 Lincoln cent is a perfect example of how everyday coins can hold extraordinary value. Whether it's due to a rare error, a high-grade condition, or just being at the right place at the right time, a simple penny could potentially change your life. So next time you get some change, take a moment to look through those pennies. You never know what treasures you might find. And if you do find a 1967 Lincoln cent, remember to check for those special qualities we talked about today. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to Coin Vault Mysteries for more content on valuable coins, rare finds, and tips on how to turn your pocket change into big money. Let me know in the comments, have you ever found a rare 1967 Lincoln cent? I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, happy hunting.